Good morning, guys.
Morning, Chip.
Morning.
I was hoping somebody would show up. I get a little complex if Robin's not going to be here today. It's like, it's just the Chip show.
Don't say that too fast.
Yeah. All right. Good Monday morning, everybody. How you guys doing today?
Good morning.
Good
Good morning, Chip.
morning, Charlene. So Robin was going to try to sign on. She was going to wait. She's watching her little granddaughter. So she was going to wait and see how her morning went. She sent me an email last night and said, won't be able to make it on the call tomorrow morning just because of her daughter and Winnie's schedule and all that. So unfortunately, she can't be with us today. So here's what I'd like to do today. I do want to start off with some gratitude. Who's got something you want to share gratitude wise, something great that happened maybe over the weekend for you? Could be business, could be personal. Always great to start with gratitude.
Hey, Chip, I'm grateful for the ability to work with colleagues in our office to promote things. It just makes it that much better, and it's even a little more fun.
Yeah, love that. It's always great to work with great people, and that's one of the beautiful aspects of this office. There's a lot of fantastic people in here, and what a pleasure it is to work with and serve and lead. Really enjoy that. Thank you for sharing that with Charlotte. Who else? Let's maybe get a couple more.
I got one for you, Chip. It might be a little bit of an odd one, but I'm grateful for technology. I did a trail run over the weekend, and while I was there, I got a house under contract, and then also got a new buyer that's coming in town, signed with their agency documents. But it was kind of funny because I was going to the start finish periodically and was able to jump on my PC and use my phone as a hotspot. So you can be anywhere and doing business no matter what you're up to.
Yeah, and doesn't it always follow suit that when we're off doing something or starting a vacation or out of town for any reason, that's when work typically wants to pop up. Good quality work like that. So yeah,
Of course, yeah.
great job. Thanks for sharing that with Dave. How about one more? Gratitude.
I got one.
Hey, Britt.
Hey, yeah, I'm grateful for date night with my sons. I did 2 open houses this weekend, so they had to like kind of be without me. So we went to Mr. Putty's at sunset, which is like the best time to do mini golf, and it was awesome. So love my boys.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Yeah, I had really good quality time. My son and my 2 granddaughters from Tampa flew up this weekend. My littlest granddaughter here, she'll turn 2 actually on Wednesday. But they had a little party for her, so everybody was together and it was kind of fun to, have 4 granddaughters running around. That'll take a lot of energy out of you, but that was good energy. Glad to have them and what, great time to share with families. So that was my gratitude moment. All right, so let's talk about some gratitude in the market. How about that? Because that's what we're here to really talk about, right? So I'm going to do a screen share here real quick. And today what I want to do is I want to talk about, see if this pops up here. Where that. Here's what I want to do today. I want to go in and give me 1 second, please. I want to talk about new home sales today a little bit, and there's some really kind of interesting things that are coming up in this front. Again, this is one of the newsletters I subscribe to, and in this one, they were talking about a Census Bureau. Minimize that. There we go. Talking about a Census Bureau report that they do in connection with the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And what they're looking at here is they were doing a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 800,000 homes. That was sales of new single family houses through the end of August of this year. So typically when we talk about the annual amount of homes that we sell, and you hear numbers like 4 million, 4.1 million, 3.9 million, those kind of numbers that we typically are talking about, those are always for resale homes. Rarely are we including new home sales in that. It's always going to be a separate number. So in this case, what they're saying is we're on pace through August of this year to sell about 800,000 new homes in the United States. There's something I want to share about this whole thing with new home building. If you go back to the Great Recession, I know we kind of referenced that as a point, but it's an important point that we need to kind of go back and reference pretty frequently. Builders got really, really conservative in building after that Great Recession. A lot of our housing issues that were leading up to the problem that our industry caused the Great Recession, a lot of our issues were the fact that there was a lot of builders building oversupply of homes. And that really, and we really kind of did experience that here in the Charlotte market too. We had an inventory problem, but most of our inventory issues were caused by new home sales. There was a lot of speculative building because there was a lot of easy money flying around. So a lot of people were kind of drawn into buying a new home when they go, $500 down, you get a new house. That was literally what was happening. So new home builders got really conservative after that crash. And, historically they've been selling maybe 600, 700,000. But with the need for housing formations over the last, say, 10, 12 years, it's been estimated that we are a few million homes shy that new home builders have not built over the last decade, let's say. All right, so we see a seasonally adjusted rate of 800,000. That is actually about 20% above the July rate, which was 664,000, and it's 15% above the August of 24 rate, which was coming in at about 693,000. All right, so I'm just kind of putting this into perspective a little bit. New home builders could easily right now go out and probably build about 1.5 million new homes per year, 1.4 million, 1.5 million for purchase, not for rental, but for purchase. And it would take them about probably 7 years to kind of catch up to the amount of homes we actually need. So some of this we can actually put into perspective why we're seeing the prices we are today. All right. So now we got some graphs here, and the first one kind of goes back and shows the relationship between new home sales versus recessions going back to 1963. So your dashed line is the current sales rate, this red line. These gray, kind of bluish gray bars that we see here, these are the different recession periods that show up. course, here's the last recession, which was during COVID in 2020, very short-lived, kind of an initial shock to the economy, but globally, but a very short-lived one because the government bailed us out of that pretty quickly. This one here represents the crash back in 08, 09. That was a pretty, lengthy, severe recession that we experienced. But you can see, every time we have had a recession, of course, we're bottoming out here typically on the amount of homes that we're selling, or at least the rate that we're selling them. So what we see over here is, of course, we don't know. There's a lot of chatter that we could see a recession coming up, but all of a sudden we see this massive uptick in the amount of homes, the rate at which we're actually selling homes, through August of this year. So it's important to kind of just use this as a perspective point. And then we come down to new homes, months of supply. So this one was pretty interesting. I'll show you the graph here, but before that, I want to come up here. Of course, this is a national number. It says the months of supply was decreased in August to 7.4 months from 9 months in July. So we've seen a drop in the supply of new homes. The months of supply of new homes in August versus July of this year. The all-time record high was 12 months of supply in January of 2009. Okay, when did the crash happen? Late 8. So, during that period of time, we saw a 12-month supply of new homes for sale. The all-time record low was 3.3 months in August of 2020, year of the recession. Of course, that one's going to be a little bit artificially low simply because, what was happening. There weren't any homes being built, right? And from the initial shock of the shutdown of the pandemic. But then, it was also, we're starting to see a change in kind of the dynamic of how people were buying, where they could buy, where they could live. And it just created that demand. We started to see that huge demand push, low interest rates, people had flexibility in where they could live and work. So of course, all of that contributed to kind of a significantly low 3.3 months in August. All right, so what do we know? What do we know about a balanced market? How many months of supply?
5 to 6.
6.
Yeah, roughly about 6 months of supply. There's going to be a balance of 4 to 6 months. It's kind of the normal range of a balanced market. Anything less than that, we're in a seller's market. Anything more than that, we're in a buyer's market. So when we see these numbers, months of supply, while it's gone down, we're still nationally seeing 7.4 months. So technically in the new home world, that's what? It's a buyer's market, right? It's a buyer's market. So if we come back up here, we're seeing the supply because, we saw that they adjusted the rate at which we're selling new homes. So of course, we're going to see a decline here in the months of supply. This dotted line going across is where we actually are. And of course, that gives us kind of a historic perspective, again, going back to 1963 of new home sales. Okay, so we see there's a lot of times that we're down here, months of supply, especially if we go back to this period of time, the Great Recession. Months of supply has been low pretty much the entire time, with the exception of this one little blip right here, way below what our trend line is, or really kind of showing us, even if we say 6 months, a lot of times we've been in a seller's market with new home sales. But here, starting about here for the last, 3 years, 4 years, we have been in a buyer's market. Okay. All right. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to give you guys a source here. Some of you may know this. This is called New Home Source. This is a website that is designed really to facilitate a couple of things. You can any consumer can log in here. They can pick their geographical area, and they can find new homes that are for sale. The majority of new home builders subscribe to this and put their inventory on this website. Okay. So as a consumer, I can go in and say, I want to find a new home in Charlotte, North Carolina. But before I kind of click on that, you also have the ability, if you kind of scroll down here to the very bottom, you can, so there it goes. You can click here under real estate professionals, and create a professional account, link it to the Valentine Market Center, or it's gonna ask you for your brokerage information. It's gonna ask you for your, I believe, your real estate license when you sign in. It gives you some tools that you can then share, but more importantly, it can create a website for you where you can actually start kind of link it to your current website, create a page where if you have consumers that are interested in maybe new home construction, it's a way to connect them back to you. All right, so I'm not making this a tech class on how to do that. We can set something up on that later. I'm showing you a resource because there's something really cool you can do here. Because first of all, I want to look at the Charlotte, North Carolina area. It tells us down here there are 3,815 new homes for sale. There are 1,975 what they call quick move-in homes. Those are ones that are basically pretty much complete or just about complete. And therefore the move-in can happen typically within about 30 days, 30 to 60 days, let's say. So homes that are ready to go. And there are 323 new home communities in the Charlotte area, okay? They're gonna say Charlotte, North Carolina area. They're gonna align it most likely with the 7 counties that basically make up the what they call the Charlotte metro area, the Charlotte MSA. Okay, so this gives you kind of a quick snapshot of what's going on here. But here's what I love about this is I can come over here, I can click here, I can go find a new home. Then when this pops up, first of all, here's a map showing all the new homes that are out there. But you know, then I want to come over here to hot deals. I don't know, let's just click one of these. Let's go here, hot deal. Kind of gives you a little bit of information. Here's where, you know, the consumer can fill out some stuff. Preferred, are you working with a real estate agent? You know, yes, I'm working with one, or whatever, they can add that. But when I see here underneath the hot deal, I click see more. And it says on this one, I can receive as a consumer a 4.99% conventional 30-year fixed rate on select homes. Terms and conditions apply. All right. So why am I showing you this? Well, if new home sales are in a buyer's market right now, we're seeing that a lot of home builders are offering incentives for the consumers, right? So if they're offering incentives for the consumers, and we're working with buyers who are looking for some sort of a way to get into a home, or you know, they're just looking for that deal, they're looking for an interest rate deal. This is a great source for you to kind of do some initial work where you can find who's got maybe the best product or the best deals for the product that your buyers or consumers are looking for. So I wanted to point this one out to you guys, because if I come back over here again, you know, and I start looking at these graphs, you know, even though this one here is showing that we're declining a little bit in the months of supply, again, we're still considered to be in a buyer's market with new homes. And if I go back over here and click back real quick, I mean, oops, click back one more. There are 3,815 new homes for sale, with 2,000 of them roughly ready to go pretty quickly. So, you know, it's another inventory choice, another option for buyers. And it's important that we can speak to the entire market, right? That's kind of what we're here to do. We're here to help people solve problems, find solutions, find programs, find things that truly will not just simply help them move in, but show that we have big value in helping them with all aspects of real estate, and not just simply, you know, the actual process of buying or selling a house. All right, I'm gonna pause there real quick. What do you guys, stop share here real quick. What are your ahas? Anybody use this source, by the way? Anybody use this website?
I do.
Okay, what success or anything you want to share about it?
I just love new homes. I'm building one right now with True Homes. So I use it for myself really. And since I know how to use it so well, I feel like I can use that as leverage.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's a couple of ways we could look at this. We could go, you know, we could drive around, you know, to new home communities and get information. We could pick up the phone and call, you know, call on-site reps. We can go, of course, it's important to build relationships with these folks too, because the stronger the relationships, the bigger opportunities that come out of it. But when we have a resource like this that shortens our research time, it can really help us hone in on either the best deals or the best deals in the area specifically, or again, for the product type that our buyers might be looking for. Man, imagine if you could just sit there and go, you know, it's funny, I was looking around some new home information the other day, and what I discovered is, based on what you just shared with me, and I'm pretending I'm having a call with, you know, a conversation with a potential buyer here. You know, I noticed that in the townhome community, there's about 8 different builders that are offering some pretty significant incentives right now. Maybe it would be worthwhile for us to sit down and take a look at those, or maybe even let's go visit a couple of them and see if they have a product that's going to fit for you. Right, that's what I love about, I think, what was it, Dave, you said earlier, you're very grateful for technology. This is one way where I'm grateful for technology, because it speeds up my process of providing value and being that subject market expert that we have to, a subject matter expert, or we could even say market expert, that we have to be, right? We have to be the person with the solution. We have to be the person that can provide the things that most people can't go find on their own. See, what I love about this website is that they're not going to find this kind of stuff typically like on an MLS search. Not to say that builders aren't listing homes on the MLS, but when you can go to one place where all builders, or at least not, you know, the majority of builders are putting their inventory up, what a great resource that is for us. All right, anybody else, any thoughts or comments around that? Or anything at all about new homes?
Chip, this
Are
is
you finding
also,
just in your relationships, are you finding deals and incentives out there? Hey, Pam.
hey, Chip, this is also a great resource if you are selling a resale in a new construction neighborhood. That way you know exactly what the incentives are, and it'll help you and your client when you're setting your price and negotiating deals.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because you know how to use the resource of maybe their equity to either price it strategically or use some of that equity, maybe offer something similar that builder's offering. You just got to know what you're competing against, right? Yep, love that. What else?
Yeah, it's important to know the status of the neighborhood as well, because I mean, we've got new construction in Lancaster that are slashing prices, but then we got new construction in Ballantyne that are at closeout that aren't offering the incentives they've been offering all summer. So it's interesting to see with one set of clients that I've been working with this summer, we're starting to see some incentives come down because I think builders are realizing fourth quarter is strong for buyers. I've seen a neighborhood that really have picked up in August. So it's interesting to see different builders doing different things.
Yeah, and one of the other things, and I don't think I'm gonna go back and share the screen, but in that article I was reading, they were even talking about too, that what the builders have gotten really, really good at, again, over the last 10, 12 years, is not just simply controlling the supply side of things, but they've gotten really good at building what people need and want at the moment. Of course, they're going to do their best to put it where they can get it. Of course, that just depends on where they can get land and the cost of that land and the cost to develop that land. But one of the things that's starting to show up a little bit is they're changing the product mix of what they're building based on what typical buyer needs are in the marketplace right now. So a lot of times, for example, they may find that buyers aren't necessarily looking for that massive, 3,500, 4,000, 4,500 square foot home with 5 bedrooms, 6 baths, all that stuff, right? They're looking at different, they're not necessarily going out and building starter homes or first time buyer homes, but they're doing like a middle of the road sort of first level move up product, but they're typically having to go farther out from the metro areas to make that happen. I mean, we see a big increase, like you were saying, Sharon, down in Lancaster County, right? A lot of development down there because the land's going to be a little bit cheaper the farther out it is. And if you start looking at some of the other communities too, there's been a big uptick in projects that are coming online, like above Mooresville, heading up towards, heading up towards Statesville in that area. And the other thing too, you're probably going to see when you're looking around here, you're going to see a lot of builder names that maybe you don't recognize. So a lot of them are smaller builders. I have a friend of mine, she's a KW agent up in Mooresville. she, a year ago, and just her lead generation, daily activities she does, she got connected with somebody through one of her, it was one of her friends who's in lending, who knew somebody that had an investor, a billionaire investor that wanted to start to build new homes in the Charlotte area. She got connected with them, and before you know it, she had about 43 properties listed. Now, this is, again, just outside of Statesville, but for her, that was fine, you know, where she is in Mooresville, that worked out perfectly for her. But imagine if all of a sudden, just through one connection, they weren't, you know, they weren't like a big builder name, they weren't a national name. But they, you know, they were building homes that were being priced in the mid threes to, you know, upper threes, low fours. And I'll tell you what, man, those things sold like crazy. So you just never know what your opportunities are gonna be. But, you know, having a resource like this, being able to speak the language, again, not only brings the value, but shows your expertise in the market. All right. That's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Any final thoughts, questions, comments, ahas? How can I best help you guys today?
Hey, Chip, keep sharing these kinds of resources. This is a really good website that we can put a lot of good use to.
Yeah, and definitely too. And thanks for that, Jim. Absolutely. Keep doing it. Go in and set this up when you're in there looking around. Go ahead and register yourself as a real estate agent. Put your information in there. I'm not going to be the guy to come to say, hey, Chip, how do I get this on my KW website? But they set some things up that make it, looks like fairly easy to do it. We have some amazing folks that can help with that. And if we need to talk about it, maybe at a team meeting or set up a quick little class on it or a lunch and learn, we can do that too. But yeah, I think that would be a great resource for us. All right, gang, if nothing else, make it a great Monday. Stay safe out there today. I know we're getting some rain later. Appreciate everybody being on, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.
Thanks, Jeff.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.